Shavuos learning.
I just don't want. I mean, I feel that the guys that are not local. If people were local, then we could do that. If a lot of people are not. Wait, I didn't. Okay, so they're not making a dough for me now. Okay, Sean, so you making a dough? Let's go. Give me a place over there. All right. I guess let's go. So I don't do kiddush levana tonight. Maybe that's what's holding everybody up. No.
I haven't the faintest half a minute to do that.
What you do? You wait for 7 days, or
I don't know. I was just thinking, tying like. I was saying to myself, I wonder if Shavuos is tied into like the Kiddush Levana too, like Yom Kippur and like Tisha B'av and
the
so
Sagrada. Somebody asked me that, and I don't see that. I don't see why it should be right. Tisha B'av, it's because we don't want to do it when we're sad.
Right.
Yom Kippur. Why do we do it in Yom Kippur again? What's Yom Kippur? Because we also when we want to be besimcha. I know the Gra holds you should do it before.
Yeah.
That's the Gra holds it should be done before.
To chaperine the mitzvah.
That's a chaperine the mitzvah, but in what's it called? I think he holds its reason. Oh, it's last week's stuff. I think. I mean. Yeah. Okay.
Somebody announced tonight in Shari that it's preferable to do it after Shavuos. I don't know. They didn't say any reason why.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's what they announced.
Yeah, it could be because 7 days. A lot of people are makah that should be 7 days.
It's not an after Yom Tov thing. It's just it happens to be it's 7 days.
I'll regalachas. That's what I think. But maybe I don't know.
All right, thanks. Okay, buddy. Okay, every single
I don't know. I didn't see anything written down about it. Somebody asked the geschmack. Somebody had a great order. Once we're waiting a minute or two, just listen to this one. It's geschmack. I wanted to say it this afternoon, but I forgot. What's the reason why the Mishnah Berurah says women shouldn't count with a bracha? Because they may forget, right? But that means tonight, if they counted all the days without a bracha, tonight they should count with a bracha. Because there's no forget anymore. Right? Tonight, once they made it to tonight, they make with a bracha.
But that's
tonight.
if you hold their separate mitzvahs, then they can make a bracha.
No, but I'm talking about they made a bracha. They did it every night.
Oh, they did it
just without a bracha.
Oh.
They did all 48 nights, right? And then tonight, why not make with a bracha tonight? Chayra. No?
I don't know. Isn't that Shtochi the other nights before?
No, but the other nights were saying, the Mishnah Berurah says, because you may forget. So since they're not going to be able to make it through all 49, because mitzvah says man groma, they're busy. They didn't have. So Mamela, they shouldn't make the bracha because they know that they're not going to make it all the way through. But once they made it all the way through, tonight is right. That was a gishmak ahara. I don't know what. Yeah. I didn't say anything on that one either. Okay, let's go. Yeah, well, we have a minion on. That's enough for me. Okay, so we're on Lamed Aleph on the top. Right, so we're still going through. Right, so Abaya had said the order of how they brought the korbanos in the Beis Hamikdash every day. So now we're up to second line down. We're up to mincha. The korban mincha came before the chavisin, right? So why does the korban mincha come before the chavisin? So what it says, because oilo mincha, the pasuk says oilo and mincha, right? So what's the yeah? So the mincha that belongs to the oilo should come right. The oilo, we said the oilas tamid comes first. Right, then there's the mincha that belongs to the oila, so that goes first, and then goes the chavisin, right? The chavisin is the kohen gadol's korban that he brings every day. So that has nothing to do with the korban tamid. So anything affiliated with the korban tamid comes first, and then the chavisin. Okay, then chavisin l'nesachim. Right, the chavisin comes before the nesachin of the tamid. Why? Because shum mincha, meaning l'chara, that should be the nesachim is part of the korban tamid, so that should come first before the chavisin, right? Because no shum mincha, because that has a name of mincha, right? Shum here meaning shame, right? It has the same shame as a korban mincha, right? It's minchas chavisin. So Mela, once you're doing minchas, you do minchas. Then you go back to the nesachim. Okay, right? And nesachim is the libations, right? When nesachim musafin, the nesachim come before the korban mosifs, right? If it's on Shabbos or Yom Tov, because it says zevach unesachim, right? Because it says that there should be a korban and the nesachim, right? Meaning, for that would mean, so that tells you that the korban and the nesachim should come after the korban, right? So no, what it means is that there should be no separation. Rashi says there shouldn't be a hefsek with any other korban between a korban and its nesachim, right? So therefore, nesachim come first, and then the musafin. Musafin lebazichin, and the korban musaf comes before putting the bazichin. Those are the 2 spoons of ketores that they put on top of the lechem upon him table, right? V'atanya, the Gemara asks, it says the opposite. Bazichin kohen musafin. You put the spoons of the ketores on top of the shtei lechem first, before the musaf. So Tanai, the Gemara says that's Machlokes Tanoim, which was way back in Pesachim. So Amar Abaye Mistabra, Command Amar. From here, it's Mistabra, like the one that says Musafin kohen lebazichin, that the korban musaf comes before putting the ketores on top of the lechem upon him. Lav mi amri babiker lahaktim. Don't we say the words babiker, right? We said yesterday's daf that anytime it says twice babiker, that makes it go first. Hachanami. So here too, b'yoim la'acher. Here too, b'yoim, it says it should be done during the day. That means to push it off later in the day. But if babiker means to do it early in the morning, right? So then Bayoim means to do it in the day, so do it later in the day. So therefore, that's why it's mashma that the musaf should go before the bazichin. My time at the mandam bazichin kohen musafin. Okay, so now what's the reason why the mother mandam disagrees and says that the bazichin should be before the musaf? Gamar chuka mi chavisin, because he learned it out chayk from chavisin, right? So therefore, that just the way chavisin come before the korban musaf, so too the bazichin also come before the korban musaf. So when I ask, if you learn out from the so then learn everything out, and memela the ketores should go even before the nesachim. So when it says no, no, that's why we use the words b'yayim to push it off. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so that's that. Then the Gemara says, so the ketores of the morning was brought between dam and nevarim, meaning they sprinkled the blood of the korban tamid onto the mizbeach. Then they went and did a ketores, and then they went and put the bones and the fats and the meats all on top of the korban, on top of the mizbeach. So why they do it in that order? Right, so that's what we're going to learn now. Money, Rabanan. If it's according to Rabanan, now the Rabanan are the ones that said that way back on Daf Tezvav that the ketores was they did the 5 candles of the menorah, then they went and did the ketores, then they went and did the 2 other menorahs, and Abba Shaul is the one that said that they put the avarim. I'm sorry, he put the blood, they sprinkled the blood in between doing the first 5 menorahs and then the 2. Right? So who is this talking about? If it's according to Rabbanon, then the ketores goes between the blood and the menorahs. It should have said that it goes in between the menorahs and the avarim. So the Gemara answers, Rabbanon, it's a Rabbanon. Right? V'sidra like a Mairi. This is not talking about the order. We're not talking about the exact order of what went on to what went on in the Beis Hamikdash. Right? It's just telling you that the korban tamid is brought before the ketores, is brought before the we put on the avoda onto the mizbeach. But that's it. It's not telling you what the exact order is, which is interesting because this whole Gemara was teaching us what the order is, and now we're saying no, it does it's the Rabanan, but they don't mean the exact order. Okay, but that's fine. So then, but in the tamids shel bein ha'arbayim in the afternoon, they brought it between the Evarim and the Nesachim, meaning when the Evarim, then the ketores, then the Nesachim, right? So it was different than in the morning. So immediately, how do you know that the afternoon is different than the morning? It's like the morning of the mincha, and its nesachim should be done, right? Just like the mincha in the morning, the ketores comes before the nesachim, before pouring the oil, the wine. Afkan ketores kedemas and nesachim. So to here in the afternoon, the ketores gets put onto the mizbeach before they do the nesachim. So Gemara asks, so if you're going to say later on, meaning in not later on, but there in the morning, the ketores comes before the evarim. Afkan ketores kedemas le'evarim, meaning if you're saying that they're comparable, so then just like in the morning, the ketores goes before putting on the bones and the fats onto the mizbeach. So afkan ketores kedemas le'evarim. So to here the ketores should come before. So one answers, miksiv ke'evari haboker. Does it say like the evari haboker? Keminchas haboker. It says like the mincha of the boker. Keminchas haboker, but like evari haboker. It's like the mincha of the boker, but it's not like the evarim of the boker. Fine. So Tana Rabanan, not the Rabanan learn. You have a niskay reviyas ayin from the. It says the yayin, the nesech has to be a quarter of a hin. Right? Yoma shel shachris mishel arvis, and we learn out the morning tamid from the ma'ariv, the afternoon tamid. That what? And Rabbi Yomer and Rabbi disagrees. Our arvis mishal shachris. You learn out the ma'ariv from shachris. What does this have to do with anything? So bishlam el Rabanan, hay betamid shel bein arbayim ksiv. Right. So it makes sense according to Rabanan because this is talking about you learn out the korban tamid of the erev. You learn out the korban tamid of the morning from the korban tamid of the evening. Ella Rebbe, my time, but according to Rebbe, why do we hold of what does it mean that the korban tamid of shachar is more important? So Amar Avarula, this is what it means. Amar Kra, la keves ha'echad. It says you bring one keves, right? One what is the keves again? Lamb, right? Is the keves shenema by echad? Which is the keves that it said echad? Right? Havayaymer is a tamid shel shachar. That's called tamid shel shachar because the pasuk says it's a keves echad taseh b'boker. It's a keves hasheni taseh bein ha'arbayim. So therefore, it's called keves ha'echad. So therefore, it's talking about in the morning. But Rabbanan my echad. So according to Rabbanan, who say no, the tamid shel bein ha'arbayim is more important than the tamid shel shachar. Why does it say echad? So it says miyuchad sheba edroi. It's got to be the nicest animal that's in the whole flock. Okay, the Rebbe right, we learn it out from the choices from the best of the nidorim. Rabbanan, and what Rabbanan learned, what do they do with that? One is talking about a chiyuv, right? One is telling you that when you have a chiyuv to bring an animal, your korban, you have to make it from the best. And once when you just give a present where you're not mechuyev. But you need both. You need both to tell you that you need to get the best animals. Because you would think, well, if it's a chiyuv, so okay, I need to do the best animal. But if I'm just volunteering an animal, an adava, why do I need to bring a special animal? And so therefore you need to say, I need a pasuk for both cases. Fine. Okay, that's the end of the whole order of the korbanos. Yeah.
Is this a riot to the Rambam? I mean, in Yom Yoma here, Shavuos, the Rambam holds that the mitzvahs before that we given before Mount Torah are not the mitzvahs that we keep today. Everything was given by Har Sinai. So why can't we learn umivchar from Cain and Hevel?
Why can we learn a mivchar to what?
By Nadava, the mivchar and Nadava, that it has to be the best.
Right.
That's the mice of Cain and Hevel. First korban that was ever brought in the history of mankind.
I hear. I don't know. You're asking why we don't darshan it like that?
Yeah.
I hear. I have no idea.
Unless it's a riot to the
I
Rambam.
don't want to darshan it.
No, but from before he got killed, the Abish to listen to his korban.
His brother killed him because of it, so we don't want to darshan it.
Okay.
No, I don't know why we wouldn't darshan. I don't understand drushes in the first place. So, yeah. Okay, whatever. I don't know. Okay, let's see. We have a lot more in Yom Yoma tonight's daf. Well, it's really tomorrow's daf. We'll hopefully do it tonight, right? So, right? So we said in the Mishna, if the kohen gadol is old or he's istinus, so they warmed up the mikvah for him, right? It's also a shvuas thing, you know. This is the mikvah oilam goes to it after the whole night. Is that a hot mikvah? Is that a you keep it on, you don't keep it on, so whatever. So Tanya Amar of Yehuda, Ashoshia shel barzel, they heated up metal, right? On hayu mechamen me'erev Yom Kippur, they heated it up from before erev Yom Kippur, umatin l'sartzan, and then they would put them into the cold mikvah, so that it would cool it off, right? And this is explaining how they did it. But that's, I mean, what does it say in the Mishnah? Right? The Mishnah says they heated up water for him. Right? And then they put it into the mikvah. Is this a Machlokes? And the Mishnah says mechamen lechamen. They heated up hot water. Obviously, they heated up the water before Yom Kippur. And then they would add water into the mikvah. Here it's saying that they took metal and heated up the metal and they put it into the cold water. So it seems like this is just two different ways of heating up the water, right? Okay, but anyway, so the Mishnah says hot water, and here this one says heat up the metal. So then it says v'aloi mitzaref, right? So there's something when you do metal, when you take a brand new metal, or when you heat up metal, so you got to take the metal and put it into cold water in order to I don't know what the word is, in order to solidify it, maybe. Would that be the word?
Harden. It's like all hardened.
Harden it. Okay, so then to harden it.
The word for it. I forgot what it is.
To quench it.
Or to
Quenching it tempers it.
Not quench it.
Quenching is putting it into the water or oil, depending on which kind of metal. But what it does is temper it. It makes it less brittle.
Whatever it is, it's finishing off the kli. The way they finished off kalim, right, is once it was done, they put water into it, and that finalized it. So the Gemara says, how can you do it on Yom Kippur, right? Mitzaref, right? Here it's makah bipatish. It goes under one of the lamates malachas of makah bipatish. You're finishing off a malacha. No, they never let it so hot that it even needed it needed siruf. It didn't need the cold water, meaning it's only if it gets very hot do you need the cold water. But if not, then you don't need it. Abaya says, even if it did get to that, your kavana is not, this right here is a major sugi. We'll stop for a minute or two to discuss it because it just could die. This is davar she'ein mischaven. His intention was to heat up the water. His intention was not to finish off these metal things that they heated up. So Mamela, even though that's happening, but that's unintentional. It's davar she'ein mischaven. Right? Yeah. So the question is, though, what do you mean? But it's a psik reisha. It's an automatic, right? So it seems to be that's the. So some say it's not really automatic because you can pull it out from the water before it does that. But okay, let's see the next kasha. Right. So again, Abai is saying that it's not. It's a davar she'eino mischaven, and we don't have a problem with that. Which, if you go with that svara, just to use a practical example, right? Like somebody came over today, they left the light on in their fridge. So they had a goy. So you're allowed to ask a goy. Right? But that's davar she'eino mischaven. Your kavanah is to open the
Why could
refrigerator
you ask
door,
a
not
guy
turn
for
on the
that?
light.
He's not getting any hana from it.
Who, the goy? Yeah, so
Yeah.
for this, it's a dirbanan, and you need to be able to access your refrigerator, so we allow it on Shabbos. Right? But the bottom line is, according to this abaya, your kavanah is not to open the light, your kavanah is to open the fridge. The davar she'eino mischaven, it should be mutter. Right? That's what it seems.
It's warned by the kohen gadol properly.
What are you saying? I don't know. Okay, but anyway, so it's a davar she'eino mischaven, it's mutter. Okay, so the Gemara asks, did Rabbi really say that a davar she'eino mischaven is mutter? V'atani, we learned it right. So basar or losoi. This is talking about that when you have to give a bris, and there's tsaras on the bris, so there's an isser to cut off a tsaras. Right? So can you give the kid a bris? Because you're going to be doing an avoda. You're cutting off a tsaras. You're doing a mitzvah, you're giving a bris, you're doing an avoda, cutting off tsaras. Vatanya basara losa. That the word basar teaches us that even where there's a tsaras, you cut it off. That's what Rabbi Yoshia is. And what do we need a pasuk for? Right? And Abaye said, because we hold davar she'eino mischaven is asur, so therefore you need a pasuk. Meaning, if it's a davar she'eino mischaven, so what's your kavanah here when the kid has tsaras on his skin? Your kavanah is to give him a bris, not to cut off the tsaras, right? So why do you need a pasuk for? So Abaye said, no, you need a pasuk because if you do something unintentional, it's asur. What do you mean? We just said Abaye said you do something unintentional, it's allowed. Right? Again, Abaye is saying we don't have to worry about tempering or whatever, finishing off the metal, because that's not your intention. Your intention is to warm up the water. Okay, so and it's davar she'eino mischaven is mutter. Right here, he just said davar she'eino mischaven is also. So Gemara gives a major teretz, according to Rashi at least. Hani mili b'chala Torah kula. When do you say that it's also a davar she'eino mischaven is also? That's by the entire Torah. Aval hacha tziruf the Rabanan, who here putting cold water onto hot metal on Shabbos is a dirbanan, and for a dirbanan we don't mind davar she'eino mischaven, right? So what does that mean? So according to the way Rashi learns it, it's davar she'eino mischaven by a dirbanan is mutter, right? Which is a major kula. Right? Because if you're opening the refrigerator door, if the light bulb is an LED bulb, so that's a dirbanan, so then it's a davar she'eino mischaven on a dirbanan. L'chayra, according to this Gemara, Abaye would hold that that's perfectly mutter. Right? Now,
Don't we use that heter nowadays?
We use it as a combination. We don't paskin straight up. And it's yes, the davar she'eino mischaven on a dirbanan. Yes, you're 100% right. Does help
all day long.
It does help, but it doesn't allow us to do a lechatchila. But yes, the davar she'eino mischaven on a dirbanan, partially based on this Gemara, the way Rashi understands it, will tell you that davar she'eino mischaven on a dirbanan is way more lenient, which it has to be. But does anybody notice the size of this taisus? This taisus goes over almost a complete blot, right? So taisus is clearly not happy with Rashi's pshat in this Gemara, right? Because there's a girsa, like we learned of quite a few times, that the reason why it's not a problem because ein shvus b'mikdash, right? We said there's no issa d'Rabbanan when it applies to the Beis HaMikdash. So if you learn that pshat, which is what Tosfos learns, that the reason why Abaye has no problem with putting the metal into the water is not because it's without intention. I mean, it is without intention, but it's at the Rabanan in the Beis HaMikdash, and that we allow. Not like Rashi says, though, we don't learn that. Taisa says, no, we have to learn that, that's exactly what that whole Taisa is all about. Okay, whatever it is, that's that. Okay, Zog the Mishna, yeah. Hiviyu le Beis HaParva. So they brought him into the Beis HaParva, which we'll see in the Gemara why it was called Beis HaParva, right? And he has to do the second tevila, right? He already toiveled once, and he changed into his clothing. Now he's going to be changing again. So Hiviyu le Beis HaParva uve kodesh haisa, and that was in the kodesh, right? He had to do that in the kodesh. Pirsu sadin shalbutz beina lebeinahum, and they hung up a sheet of linen between him and everybody in the olam that was watching him. Kiddush yadav raglav upashat. See, this is why it's a little unfair, because if we would have had this Mishna last week, before we did the whole Machlokes Rabanan and Rabanan last week, it would have been easier. But now here's where the Mishna is. So Kiddush, he washed his hands and feet, then he took off his clothing. Then he put on his clothing, as we'll see in the Mishnah, and then he washed his hands. That's the Tanakama. Rameir pashat. No, first he takes off his clothing, Kiddush yadav raglav, and then he washes his hands. Right, like we said last week, that according to Rameir, the washing of the hands is done with no clothing on. According to the Tanakama, he washes, then he takes off his clothing. According to Rameir, he takes off his clothing, then he washes his hands. So Yorad v'Taval, he goes down. Yeah.
Is this the origin of taking a shower before one goes to Mikva for a Sofas Kedusha?
To do what before?
To take a shower before you go to Mikva to be Moisef Kedusha rather than.
I never heard that. You heard that? I never heard that. You heard
no,
that?
I'm just asking. No,
I think it's for hygienic purposes. No,
that's what I would have thought too. But here you have a Kiddush before, according to Meir.
Yeah, but he's washing his hands and his feet here. That's all he's washing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So Yaakov, could
yeah.
this be a raya? You could wash negovasa when you're naked.
Yeah, maybe. And a chanami. Who says? I mean, there you might have an issue about walking around the house, depending on where you're washing.
Well, it depends where you're washing negovasa.
Right. Yeah. Right. You can't. I don't know if going to the kitchen to wash negovasa naked. That was stuff. But that not out this though. Not out this. Yeah, 100%. I think 100%. Yeah, you can wash according to the mayor at least. Yeah. Right. So, anyways, Yorad v'Tav. So then we have Machlokes Tanakama and Meir, whether he washes his hands before he takes off his clothing or after he takes off his clothing. Fine. Then Yorad v'Tav, he goes and he's toivels. All of in his topic, he comes up and he dries himself. Hiviyu big day love, and then they bring him his big day love on. Lavash, he wears them for Kiddush yadav raglav. Then he washes his hands. B'shachar hayalavish plusin shel shneim aser. In the morning, he would wear plusin, which is made out of, obviously, we're talking about the white clothing. So that's made out of linen, right? So it was 12 manah. Yeah, whatever amount that was, it was worth 12 manah. Bein arbayim, and the one that he wore in the Bein arbayim in the afternoon, shel shmayna meyas zuz, was 800 zuz. Right. So the question is, why did the Mishna change the amounts? Right. First, it refers to it as manah, and then it refers to it as what do you call it? Zuz. A manah is 100 zuz. A manah is 100 zuz. So that means the linen that he wore in the morning was worth 1,200 zuz. The afternoon was only worth 800 zuz. Yeah. So again, b'shachar yulayvish plusin shel shneim aser manah, he had worth 1,200 manah. Bein arbayim and aduyin, they were not plusin, they were neduyin, right? And they were made out. They cost 800 zuz. Divrei Meir. B'shachar hayulayvish shel shmeina aser manah. It was made out of. It was 18 manah, not 12. In the afternoon, it was 12. Hakol shloishim manah. It was 30 manah, which Gemara is going to say later. Why do we need to? We know 18 plus 12 is 30. What does the Mishnah feel that has to tell us the final amount? And this money comes from the tzibur. The tzibur pays for this. But if he wants to add on, meaning he wants even more expensive, then Vaisif Mishalai, right? So his expense account, the kohen gadol's expense account gives him 30, right? But if he wants to add on, then he could add on to his own. Okay, so let's see weiter. Thanks to the Taisvis, Machlokes Rashi Taisvis, about what we were just learning about the Davar Shein Mischaven. So Amud Aleph is very short, right? As you can thank the Davar Shein Mischaven, which is why it's one of the big sugis in Shas, right? Okay, so my Pavah, why is it called Pavah? Rav Yosef Pavah is Amgusha. He was an Amgusha. He was Mechashef, Rashi says. It's another fascinating thing. So a room that on Yom Kippur, that's where he goes to the Mikva, is named after a Kishuf guy. That's right. It's wild that yeah, but that's the name they gave it. Fine. So
Did it have to be? I mean, they put a towel up so that the people wouldn't see him, but technically he's indoors. Well, what's the towel for? Was it because this Mechashef built it that it somehow had see-through walls?
no, I thought he was doing it on top. Wasn't it on top upstairs?
That was the first
upstairs?
one.
I thought this one was also upstairs.
The base of Harva is not a bias; it's outdoors.
I don't know, but I thought it was outdoors. But okay, so that's Rashi's pshat. Rashi's pshat that it was named after a Baal Kishuv. Taisus is a fascinating pshat. We'll just look the Taisus. Listen, at least we could say we did the Taisus on Amud Aleph. We're just doing the short one. Okay, so the second Taisus is Parva Amgusha. Yeah, Pirish ba'aruch b'zel shaynai. Yesh min hachachamim shayrim. Some of the hachachamim said ki chafar mechila tachas akarka b'kodesh. This fellow, Mr. Parva, right, dug a hole. He wanted to get box seats for the Yom Kippur avoda. So he dug a hole under the Beis HaMikdash ad sheyira avodas kohen gadol, so that he could see mamish the avodah kohen gadol. V'ergisha ha'kohanim is mamish in Yom Eretz Yisrael with the tunnels, right? V'ergisha ha'kohanim b'chafira, right? And the chacham caught him. Umatzu, and they caught him. V'kara is a halishka al shmai, but he listen, it was kedai. But
So
he got
his kedais in Shas forever.
Shas, Yom Kippur, the Yom Kippur avoda, the most chashuv davening of the day. This guy should have been a marketer, right? I'm saying he dug this hole. I don't know what his einish was for doing this, but yeah.
Where did it stop? Where did it stop? I'm saying the coach.
I have no idea. How far did he go?
But he has to go pretty close to see the avoda, no?
Yeah, I would think.
How could he see through solid marble?
No, he must have busted a hole in it.
Then he was talking in the Kodesh Kodashim.
I don't know. No, I think maybe he busted a little. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I think he made a crack in it so he could see through. Right?
Aren't there stories of like people hidden by the Chavetz Chaim by this guy? But this guy beat all those guys.
I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Whatever it is. Either way, it's quite interesting that their room is either according to Rashi and Mechashev, or according to Taisus, this guy who tried to sneak in by digging a tunnel. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I don't know what Amgusha means.
He didn't get malchus. He didn't get anything.
I don't know. Taisus doesn't say. You got to look in the Aruch, right? He brings
isn't a gush? A gush is a piece of soil, no earth.
Yeah, but I thought an Amgusha is a Kishuv person. That's why I always thought we touched.
Usually, I guess that means saying this one comes from gush.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's an interesting Machlokes Rashi Taisus. Fine. Parsu sadin shel butz. So they spread out a sadin of butz, of linen. Mishna shel butz. This we had before. Why was it linen? Amar Rav Kana kadesh yakasha shavoda sayayim bebig day butz. It was in order to recognize that the avoda of Yom Kippur is with butz. So therefore, they used dafka linen sheet to shield him from everybody. Fine. So b'shachar hayalayvish plusin shashmayna asa. And then we said in the afternoon it was 12. A Tana min yana asa lashmin. The Tana has to come tell us the countings, right? Yeah. Don't you know that Rashi said einon yodim shashmayna asa shneim asa reish leishim. Right. We know that 18 plus 12 equals 30. So Kamash Malon, so no, it's teaching us the Batzer Mehani Loy Nevid. You cannot do less than You can't. It has to be worth 30. But meaning if you want to lower meaning let's say he decides he wants to do instead of 18 and 12, he wants to do 15 and 15. Right? Less lamba, then there's nothing wrong with that. Meaning it has to equal to 30, but it doesn't necessarily have to be broken up as 18 for the morning and 12 for the afternoon. So I'm going to ask the Kuli Almaviyas to Shachar Difi Minolan. Because according to everybody, though, the morning one should be, meaning going to both Shitas in the Mishna, the morning, the big day Lavan that he wore in the morning was worth more. So Minolan, why is the morning begadim worth more than the afternoon? Some Rav Huna, Breder Ravi Loi, Amakra, bad. Right? It says bad 4 times. Muvchar bebad. So that tells us that the best linen should be used for the white, for the big day shachris. That's what Rashi says. Meaning it says it by shachris. So since it says it 4 times by shachris, by the first time he wears it, so that tells you that it should be the more chashuv one. Yeah. And then Taisus has a little different pshat. He goes through like the regular standard drushes. Fine. Amud Beis Meisvei. So the Gemara says, "Well, Amud Beis Meisvei." So they ask the kash on this. The love should be gadol acherim, and then they put on other clothing, right? When he went in back, right? We learned Thursday or Friday that the kohen gadol had to go back in to take out the coals and the ketores, right? So then he wore different begadim. He didn't put on the same ones. Yeah. Right. And meaning, and then he didn't. And it wasn't his begadim weren't kaddish. Meaning, once he finished and he was leaving, so they accompanied him. Right. That's what it says in Yom Kippur, the Yom Kippur and the Masa. Right. And he wasn't wearing any kaddish clothing, right? Doesn't it mean that acherim is more chashuv than them, right? Because then Rashi says if it wouldn't be more chashuv, then what do you have to write that he puts on other clothing, right? So it must be more chashuv. So you see the afternoon clothing is more chashuv. So the Gemara answers, no, means he's supposed to put on clothing that's less. Okay, I don't understand the Havamina, but okay, the Gemara thought that he puts on more. It means it's telling you that he changes clothing because it must be for more expensive clothing. And the Gemara is saying no, it means less expensive clothing. Fine. Tani Ravuna Bar Yehuda, B'Amrila Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, Achar Shekol Avodas Tzibur. After the avoda of the tzibur was finished, Kohen Shasas Eloi Imoik Sinus. So we had this right a couple of weeks ago that the Kohen Gadol's mother made him a hat. So Loivsha, he would put it on for Ovid B'Avodas Yachid, and he would do the Avodas Yachid. Right? What is Avodas Yachid? It's meaning it's not for the tzibur. That's going back into the Kodesh. Rashi says to go get the coals and take the ketores out. But he has to make sure, like we said, that he can only, meaning this was not made by the Beis HaMikdash's money. This was made by his mother's money. She made it for him, right? But as long as it's going to be donated for the tzibur, then he's allowed to wear it, right? Again, I don't know if we were it or not, but it's very interesting that his mother did it, not his wife. Right? The mother made the hat, not the wife. Okay, so the Gemara says Pshita.
His wife was too young. She didn't know how to sew yet. She was only 12 years old.
Okay. I hear. The stomach back then they knew how to sew, but I would assume. But okay, so Pshita, the Gemara says Pashit, right? Since you gave it over to the tzibur, so what's the chiddush that he can wear that hat to go back into the Kodesh HaKadoshim to take out the coals? So
and she had the conditional get, Reb Yaakov. She wouldn't want to sew for him.
You mean she don't, until she knew that she's bad at
right,
his. Right. She tells us, go to the Beis HaMikdash, make sure you come out alive. You come out alive, and then okay. But a mother's a mother. That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
I hear. So Pshita. So
the wife literally wanted no strings attached.
Very good, very good. So the Gemara says Pshita, right? It's Pashit that why if they donated the hat to the Beis HaMikdash, why can't he wear it? So the same in Neichel Shem Elohim Serena Yafe Yafe. maybe you think that he's not gonna really give it over, and so it's not really a kinyan kamash malon. That's no, we're not worried about that, right? So if he gave it over, he gives it over. Fine. Amru olav Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. They said about Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. Yeah, she made him a ksainas that cost a hat that cost 100 manah. And he wore it and he did avodas yachid. He went when he went in to get the ash, the ketores in the coal. So masr l'tzivur, and he gave it over to tzivur. Amr olav Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim, and they said about Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim, shasas la'ima ksainas mishtei ribui. She made him a hat of 20,000 manah, right? Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, the first one, Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi had made a hat made out of 100 manah, right? And this one, Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim's mother used 20,000 manah, right? That's a whole lot. And they did not let him wear it, because it was so fancy that he looked like he was undressed in it. What does that mean? So Gemara asks, can you possibly see? Right? That it's supposed to be made out of clothing that's it has to have 6 threads, 6-thread count. How could 6-thread count be see-through? Right? So it's also the Yomi with the what do you call it? Shaitels. What's the shaitels they make him about? The lace shaitels, right? So maybe this was lace clothing. So Rabaya, so we said kechamra b'mizga. You could see it through it because you have wine that's in a glass. This is Nageya tomorrow night sugya. This is Hashem for the Shavuos, right? For the sherry cask, right? It's like the wine in a glass. Meaning you have a thick glass, you could tell that there's wine in there, even though the glass is so thick. Obviously, it's not talking about our glass that's very clear. Must be talking about those frosted glass. But you could see that there's wine in there. So it's saying that it was so fancy that it can mamish be see-through. I can't say I understand exactly what this is, but somehow becomes see-through if it's such fine clothing, right? Fine, okay. So that's meaning that's how rich he was. So then Mamela, the Gemara gets him mamish into a shvu sugya, right? Based on just strictly because of how much money Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim had. So Rabanan, yeah, Marchuk's not on, right? One of the more famous Gemaras in Shas. Yeah, so Ani va'ashir v'rasha bayin ledin. First, it sounds like a joke, right? An Ani, right? An Ani, a poor person, a rich guy in a Russia came up to heaven, right? But that's exactly what it is. Right?
Walked into a bar.
Well, no, right. Right. So 3 of them came in. And they came to din. To the poor person, they said to him, how come you didn't learn Torah? Right? So im Aimer Ani Hayisi, if he says Ani Hayisi, I was poor, but Torah I was so busy trying to eat. I'm like Klum Ani Hayis me Hillel. Could you possibly be poorer than Hillel? Amar Allah al Hillel Azakin, and they said on Hillel Azakin, Shabchayim V'yayim Hayaisa Umistaker Tref, how do you pronounce this? Trapoik, right? So Rashi says a trapoik is a seller, it's a chatzi dinar. He would work for a chatzi dinar. Chetzi hayanais and l'shomer beis hamerish. He would give it to the shomer beis merish, which is another thing I don't understand. Like what? He couldn't come learn for free. It was by pay. You had to come pay to go learn in the beis merish. Okay, but half he gave to learn in the beis merish. Right? The chetzi leparnasas is anshe beisa, and the other half was for pasha for him to eat. One time he didn't make money. That day he didn't make money. And they didn't let him in. All of nitla b'yashav pi aruba. So he went and he hung himself from the aruba, from the ceiling, from the hole in the ceiling, from the skylight. Mipnei Shmaya v'Avtalion, so they should hear Shmaya Avtalion saying divrei to learning. So Amru Oisa Ayoim, head of Shabbos. So they said that day was a Friday. It was Kufas Tevis, and it was Kufas Tevis around the middle of the winter. V'yorol of Shelig min Shemayim, and then the snow went on top of him from Shemayim. Right?
Yaakov,
Yeah.
I wrote in my Gemara, I learned this December 13th, 2013, which was the 10th of Teves, and there was a very big snow when we learned this in the Daf. Yeah.
I hear. Interesting. Is that better than doing this on Erev Shavuos, or is it worse? I don't know. Being mechayiv to learn Torah on Erev Shavuos is pretty good too. So you have two consecutive. Write that in your Gemara that the second time you learned it was Erev Shavuos, right? So now you have it from Allah Zaytin. You have it. Anyway, so v'yorol of Shelig min Shemayim, and then the snow came onto him from Shemayim. Kisha'olah Amar Shachar, and when it became morning, Amar L'Shmael of Talion Achi b'chol yoim abayis meir v'yoim afol. Every day it's usually light in here, and now it's very dark. Shema yom emunahu. Maybe it's a cloudy day, right? There's all sorts of kashas on exactly how this. What I mean, all the snow falls, right? Where else does it fall from? And maybe it's a cloud. What does he care about the weather? It's a riot. You get into yeshiva in the morning, the first thing you discuss is the weather, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. Today's a cloudy day. What does that have to do with anything? Okay. So they lifted up their eyes. And they saw somebody in the skylight. There were 3 amas of snow, right, on top of Hillel. So parku, so they took him out, and they washed him up, and they smeared him with things. And they put him next to the fire. Right? Amru, which Rashi says, parku means they took the snow off of him. I don't know exactly how he was alive. Okay. Amru roi zeh l'chal levis Shabbos. He's roi to be Michal Shabbos, which is another kasha. What do you mean? This one is roi to be Michal Shabbos as opposed to any other yid, right? Okay, these are all kashas. So that's it. So that's Hillel is mechayev aniyim, meaning any ani, you can't. He says I didn't have time to learn. Well, look at Hillel. Which again, I hope we're not held to such standards when it comes our time to go in front of the Kisei HaKavod, because this is a pretty high standard to hold us to, which is scary, which is, I guess, why we have to learn. But learning on a Motzei Shabbos right after Shabbos is pretty good, I think. Pretty good. Right, Baruch Hashem. Fine. Osher, okay, so that's the poor person. Osher, let's say a guy is wealthy. Say, why didn't you learn? Why didn't you learn the Torah? If he says I'm wealthy and I have to just deal with all my belongings, are you any more wealthy than Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim, that was the kohen gadol who we just discussed? He left him 1,000 cities. And 1,000, and were for the same 1,000. Each city got a ship, right? And he would take how do you call it? A noid shel kemach. He would take some flour and put it on his shoulder. And he would just go from city to city to learn Torah. So he didn't care about all the money. One time he ended up in one of his own cities, and he found his workers also by Angaria, and they made him do work. Right? So Amr Lehen, he says, please, let me go learn Torah. Yeah? So Amru, they said to him, by the life of Rabbi Elazar ben Charsim, we're not going to let you go. Right? Meaning, so they said he's not going to go. They're not going to let him go. And from there on, he never went to see the people that did this to him. Right? So What he did is he was Isaac b'Torah kol hayom v'kol halayla. So it's a little unclear exactly how this whole thing went down, right? So they said they're not gonna let him go out. So I don't know what was going on. Is it the art scroll said something about they put in the footnote that the Ein Yaakov says that he bribed them and he gave them a lot of money and they let him go. Which I don't know then why he would want them as employers if they took a bribe, but whatever it is, the point is that he had all this money and he still went, which again is a very, very high standard. Sounds like he wasn't Isaac in his business at all. But then again, I don't know. He hired lots of workers and they took care of all his business and he sat and learned. Right? So again, it's a very high standard. Okay. Russia. What about a Russia? Right, so now I this part also. What do you mean a Russia? He's a Russia, so that's why he didn't learn. Right, so Russia. Okay, but whatever it is, why didn't you learn Torah? If he says, because I'm a beautiful person, and I'm busy with my Yetzer Hara. Are you any nicer than Yosef? What they say about Yosef? Right, every day she tried to coerce him to sleep with him. The morning she wore different clothing in the evening than in the morning to try and entice him. And the ones from the night were not the same ones as in the morning. Right? Listen literally means listen to me, but it means listen to me and be with me. Amar la love. So he said no. Amar la hareni chayvashtecha bebeis asurim. I'm going to put you in jail. Amar la Hashem mater asurim. Hashem is going to let people go out of be mater asurim. Let people out of jail. Hareni kafefes kaimasach. I'm going to knock you down from your height, meaning she's gonna knock him down from his perch of being a chashuv person. So he said, Hashem's like, give kufim, Hashem is gonna straighten me out. I'm gonna make you blind. Hashem is gonna make the blind open the blind's eyes. She gave him 1,000 kikrei to bribe him. So that he would listen to her and sleep with her and to be with her, right? But he didn't want to listen to her. He didn't want to be with her in this world, and he didn't want to have to be with her in the next world, right? Meaning to go to Gehenna. Okay, so therefore what? What does this have to do with Yosef learning? Right? Where do you see from here that Yosef, because he was so handsome, learned? Right? So it's not. So I guess he knew all. The only thing I can understand from this is that maybe he knew all these psukim, so Mameli he must have learned. Right? I don't know. I don't have anybody have a pshat in this. Whatever it is,
well, we know that he sent back the agalos for Yaakov Avinu for Eglah Arufa. That we know.
Right, but that doesn't. I mean, okay, but it doesn't mean he learned instead of his time. We see clearly he didn't give in to his tithes. I don't know if it means that he learned. Right.
It could be it's not about learning. It could be it is about being a Rasha.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, so Nimtza Hill Mechayves Aniyim, Rebbe Elazar ben Charson Mechayves Hashirim, and Yosef Mechayves as a Rishayim, and so that's it. Meaning everybody's got to learn no matter what.
What about lazy people?
I don't know. Maybe you'll have to add to it. You'll have to add to it.
Okay.
Right? by my son's bris, my brother-in-law.
Yeah, you're not.
You're
not.
He's not what?
I could be lazy, you know.
What happened by your son's bris?
My son's bris, my brother-in-law spoke, and my son Gershon was named after his father, who grew up in Texas. His grandfather, my shver, who grew up in Texas, to a father who was not from, a mother was from. And he said over this Gemara, he says, Hillel it is, and he says, And my shver was mechayev Americans that they could be learned. That was his. You can be from Texas in America in the '60s, whatever, and you could be learned. That was his. So Naftali, we could say about you, you bounce from yeshiva to yeshiva to yeshiva, and you still learn. That's a good one. I'll give you that one. Anyways, all right. A good.
What, we're learning Erev Yontif?
Yeah, so tomorrow we said 7:00, right? 7:00. Because
7,
everybody's
okay.
There's no early yomtiv, so no early yomtiv. So 7:00 should be fine.
So we said 10 to 7 because it's
We
a
said
little bit
10
more.
to 7. Oh, so
Yeah.
10 to 7. Yeah, but we did 2 blocks.
We did.
Tonight, so.
Yeah, but let's do a little. Yeah, if we could do it.
Naftali, it's Sunday. The Olam Kedav and Mincha Gedola.
I know, but my shver is not here. He's not going to want. That's my problem.
So we're not changing the whole shia for you. You're a very wonderful person. You learn even though you went to 42 yeshivas, but it doesn't mean you chayiv the whole shia.
It's just I'm not chayiv the whole shit. It's enough time to get to mincha.
You'll have
And
plenty
Going
of
enough
into
time
time.
to
Yom
walk
Tov.
to shul to mincha. That's all.
What?
We can't learn
That's
another
all I'm
10
saying is,
minutes.
And enough time to walk to shul to mincha.
Oh, so 7:00 is the shia tomorrow.
No, we said
7
10 to
o'clock.
7.
No,
No,
you
but
and
7 is
Gershon.
enough.
You and
Naftali, it's-
Gershon said 10 to 7.
No.
7:00. So
Yesterday
you
we said 10
You
to
know what
7.
you
Yeah,
could
we
do,
did. We said
Naftali?
10 to
So
7.
You could go
I
to
think we said.
Cleveland, Yontif, and daven mincha with Gershon.
You're all welcome to log in at 10 to 7. How's that?
Thanks,
Yeah, if you get out of
Gershon.
doing some more work on Erev Yom Tov for that, you tell the wife, I got to get on 10 to 7. That's already Kedah. Right?
Yes, you're on to
I don't
us.
understand. We just learned the whole Gemara, a whole Amud about being mechayiv to learn, and everyone's trying to push it off now.
What does one thing have to do with the other?
What time is mincha tomorrow night?
Tomorrow, what?
What time is mincha tomorrow night?
Probably by Lichtbenchen time, 10 to 8.
So what time are you planning on stopping?
By 7:40, a 40-minute daf.
Okay.
It's not a long daf. We should be done by
Okay.
7:40. Yeah. Bezos Hashem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Reb
All
Tziyaka,
right. Good
we had
luck,
the
everybody.
we had the kasha on for the Russia. We said he's a
Yeah.
Russia. Why is he learning? It could be the whole pshat is that people think they're a Russia already. They can't start. It's too late. So it could be he was machayev. He was in Mitzrayim. He had somebody who was bothering him day and night, and it wasn't about him being a raya that he was learning. It was being a raya that he wasn't falling into that situation, even though he was still in he was in Mitzrayim, and he in that way he was machayev the Rishon. Don't think that because they went ahead and they did not there already that they
Sounds
can't.
good to me.
I don't know. I was
It's a
just
good
thinking.
start. I like that start.
Again, what are you saying? That if he
We had two kashas. We said, first of all, he's a Russia. Why are we trying to bring a raya that somebody is a Russia that they're going to learn? They're a Russia. And we said also that Yosef we didn't bring a raya in the end that he was learning anyways. So it could be
Right.
the whole thing is not about being machayev specifically for learning of the year. It's just being a raya that people think that they're a Russia and they already did Averis. They're a Russia. And therefore it's too late for them. See, he was machayev. It wasn't too late. He's machayev the fact that even though he had somebody, bothering him day and night, he didn't give in to his Yetzirah.
I hear. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, what you mean?
Just a
He's
thought.
saying. You mean he's saying don't give up. He didn't give up.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
It
Okay,
answers
that's a
both.
good.
It answers both
Certainly a
questions.
good word. Certainly a
Yeah.
good word. I don't know. Does it fit into the Gemara though?
I think so. I mean, it answers both questions. It answers why Russia, and it answers. I mean, it doesn't bring the Torah part into it so much, but I think it fits.
I hear. Okay, I hear you. It's that better than my pshat, that's for sure. More importantly, did you find out what's with the yeki from Yeshver? What exactly it's based on? Anything?
So I asked him. I think basically it's every day that they say tachanan is basically when they keep it. I think that's what it comes down to. And I think the Mishna Brewer brings down. I don't have it in front of me now. That it's you don't have the 33 days. You basically have Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh has how does it work again? That only gives you like 30.
29.
I forgot to calculate. It only gives you 29. Is that what it is? I forgot the
Rosh Chodesh
calculation.
you don't say.
No, I think the Sharatzim even brings down on the bottom. He doesn't know why. I think what the day that's most shver is Bay's Sivan, because you say Tachanan, but they already stopped by Rosh Chodesh already. So he brings down on the bottom. I don't know. It doesn't really answer up for that day. So I don't know. I otherwise I didn't see more than that. The picture that I send you for the Maril, he really doesn't say Rosh Chodesh to Rosh Chodesh. He really just says Rosh Chodesh until Shlosh Tzmiat Bala. So it doesn't really. I don't know. It doesn't really fit in.
Right. So that okay, but that's the.
Yeah. I don't know. More than that, I don't know.
Talking about Yaakov, Tzviakov, do you have the Rabbeinu Yeruchim at home?
Do I have a Rabbeinu Yeruchim?
Yeah, for 3 hours.
I don't have the Rabbeinu Yeruchim. I saw it quoted. Why? You want to see it?
No, I want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to try and remember where I saw it quoted. Where would I have seen it? I have no idea.
All right.
I have no idea what if I'm trying to rack my brain. I need a couple of Shemoneh Esrei to remember. Yeah.
All right. Yashikaya.
All right. Okay. Good to talk, everybody.
Do you have a minute afterwards? Can I call you for a minute afterwards quickly?
Yeah. Sure. I'm backed up on all my texts, so I'm going to be doing that now.
Okay.
So
just a quick.
All right.
Just a quick
call me
question.
right now. Yeah. Okay. Dankeschön.
What do you do with yahrzeit candles?
With the same thing as you did Pesach. Same thing you did Pesach.
So light tomorrow. You want me to light tomorrow?
But yeah, it's better light it today. Yeah. Call our account. I don't figure out how many guys are going to come to the minyan.
And if not, I'll take a taxi.
I don't know.
How am I going to figure that out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Peretz, because Peretz. Call Peretz. I don't know if my kids are not going to schlep all the way up there to Davin. I don't think.
Right. I guess we'll make it a call over there. Chaim's going to come Davin either by me or by Shashiv. So if he knows at a lane, I'm going to tell him to come over there, and that's it. And if there's no minyan, we'll go to Shashiv. We'll go to Yishuv Raghu, and that's it. We'll make a game time decision. I'm not going to stress out.
Aaron Kaplan wants to know whether you should put on the schedule. That's all. All right, whatever it is.
I'll let him.
Fine.
Don't have an issue. Okay.
All right.
Very much.
Bye-bye.